Hey guys. Okay, so I thought I'd round out this whole plan theme that I've been rolling with the last couple of weeks by answering the question, can I change my plans post-DA? Short answer, yes and no. To explain, a couple of years ago, Council actually amended their standard conditions. So their standard condition used to say, carry out the works generally in accordance with the approved plans. Now, word on the street is that the development industry was just taking that too far. So they were interpreting the word generally rather loosely or liberally, if you'd like to call it that. So I've heard horror stories of people getting approval for entire unit complexes and just wiping out visitor car parks under the generally provisions, or wiping out massive chunks of landscaping under the generally provisions. Obviously, if people are taking it to that extreme, they're taking it too far, so Council had to crack down on it. How did they crack down on it? Well, they removed the word generally. So now the conditions say, carry out the works in accordance with the approved plans. So what does that mean? Well, we basically are being forced to interpret that rather black and white. The assessable components, the components that were actually assessed by Council as part of that application, must be black and white exactly as the plans show. So you can't go moving little windows here and there or changing the materials or doing that sort of stuff when it comes to the assessable components. Now, I do keep harping on this accessible aspect here. As an example, if you're talking about a large character lot, internal building works, extensions to the rear, carports, enclosing under, all of that sort of stuff is exempt. So if you want to make little changes or little tweaks to that stuff, go for it. It wasn't assessed as part of the application. But if you were making changes to the front or side, that stuff would be accessible, and that's the stuff that you can't budge on. Now, I have had some legal advice to suggest that this would be open to debate if it was to be brought before a judge. The court's interpretation of what in accordance meant may be a little bit more flexible, but no one who's working within this space or doing house extensions, new houses, that sort of stuff, wants to be that guinea pig. It is not worth the time, the money, and the stress to go through that process. So if you're not going to go down that path, what are your options? Well, the first option, like I suggested, black and white, stick to those plans, which means you need to be certain or sure of, or what's the word I'm looking for here, you need to basically lock in your design before you lodge your town planning application. Now, that's easier said than done. It is so hard to lock in that phase because naturally when the architect or the designer starts working through those detailed concept plan or those detailed construction drawings, you're naturally going to find things that need to move or tweak to work around structural beams and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, great. If you can do it, lock it in. What we're seeing more and more these days is that people are being forced to mentally and financially plan for a modification application. So people are going into the town planning application knowing that they're going to have to come back and do that second round modification application down the track to tweak things to account for any changes that have evolved or any evolutions that have occurred since the DA or town planning application was approved. Now, I know everyone is going to sit there and just go, that is ridiculous. How can you take the extra money? How can you take the extra time? Double handling, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But put yourself in Council's shoes. How else would you solve this problem? If the industry was sitting there and pushing it that far, how else could they stop them from doing it other than removing that word generally? Like, I agree. It sounds ridiculous, sounds crazy, but when I put myself in Council's shoes, I go, how else could they fix it? I can't come up with a better solution. So, hey, I can't bitch and moan about it right now. So, I think that covers off everything I wanted to talk about today. As I always say, until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got three. Number one, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site-specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number two, Brisbane town planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not Council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not Council. Number three, what was my number three? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all.